Today on our 2019 Kia Sorento, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Curt powered taillight converter with 4-pole flat trailer connector. Alright, this is what it's going to look like installed. This is going to give us all of our necessary lighting functions for our trailer: stop, turn signals, and running lights. It puts out 5 amps for our turn signals and brake lights, and it puts out 7.5 amps for our running lights. To begin our install, we're going to need to remove the tail lights. So first we open up our hatch, and there's actually a panel right here on each side. They're exactly the same. We're going to remove these panels to gain access to the nuts that are holding the tail lights on. So this is the panel. As you can see, there's 2 little notches in it. And with those notches, we can take our flat blade screwdriver, put it in there, just gently pry up, and set it to the side. And do that exact same thing to the other side of the car. All right, now we need to remove these 2 black nuts. We're going to do that with a 10mm socket. We do the exact same thing to the other side. All right, now you don't have to, but I like to put a towel and some tape right underneath the taillight just to protect the paint, because we'll be working in this area. Now with the 2 nuts removed from the back of the taillight, we can now pull the taillight out. Now there is some snips back here, and they're kind of tricky. So what I did was I took a flat trim panel tool and actually lightly pried right here against the taillight while kind of making a shaking motion. I was able to pop it out. Now with the taillight hanging like this, we can remove it. That way we can test our wires. To remove it, there's simply one little clip. You kind of push down, pull out, like so, and set this light off to the side. All right, now with both lights out of the way, we went ahead and tested the lights wiring to figure out which ones we're going to need to connect to. And what we found was, here on the driver's side, the green and orange wire, this will be for your brake lights. The green and black wire, that will be for your running lights, or also known as your tail lights. And this all gray wire, this will be for your left turn signal. Now here on the passenger side, the only wire that we're going to need is this white and black wire. Now that'll be for the right-hand turn signal. Alright, so here we have our new harness, and I just want to show you guys which of these wires will hook up to our factory wires. The brown wire in our new harness, this will actually go to the black and green wire, and as I said earlier, that will control our running or tail lights. The red wire, that will actually go to the orange and green wire, and that will control our brake lights. The yellow wire, that will get connected to the solid gray wire, and that'll control our left turn signal. Now this white wire here that has a ring terminal on the end, that will just be a ground, so we'll find a good spot on a metal surface to ground it to. Now the kit comes with these style connectors, which we're not going to be using these. We're actually going to be using these heat shrink butt connectors because they're a little bit better for outdoor use. Now if you need some of these, you can find some on eTrailer.com. Now to be able to mount our box in the proper secure location, we actually had to extend the wiring so that it will reach it. So if you need some extra wiring, you can pick some up on eTrailer.com. Ours happens to be color coordinated. So what we did, we went ahead and tapped in our appropriate wire into the taillight harness, ran it down through behind the bumper into a pocket, and that's where we're going to hook it up to our box. We're going to need to gain access to this panel on the driver's side rear behind the driver's side rear tire to complete our wiring. So to remove it, there's going to be 4 fasteners. 2 up here and 2 down here. These ones up here, you can loosen them with the 14mm socket. However, if we take these off first, we can normally just pull down and these will break free. So to get these, you get a flat blade screwdriver and pop it down and use your hand to pull it out all the way. And you can kind of grab the panel. Remove it and set it to the side for now. Now with our panel out of the way, we can reach up and grab our wires that we extended and drop these down. Just kind of set them out of the way. And from there we can take our box and the supplied tech screw and mount it. Now we're going to go ahead and mount it about right here, and that'll make it really easy to work with, but keep it nice and safe and out of the way at the same time. All right, from here we can cut our extended wires to the appropriate length and connect them to our box. Now with all of our electrical connections made, we can use a heat gun to activate our heat shrink. Now we could take our white wire with the ring terminal on it and ground it. Now we want to put it on a spot that's solid, clean metal. That way it gets a good ground connection. All right, now I went ahead and ran our green wire from the box over to the passenger side. I did that by using some zip ties to secure it up along this bumper support. And I made the connection right here. Now this is the wire that we extended down from the passenger side of the vehicle, just like we did on the driver's side. All right, at this point we can run our 4-pole wiring. Now typically you would have your hitch here. In this case we don't, but for demonstration purposes I'll show you how we would do it. So you could run it up, and your hitch tube would normally sit about right here. You could just zip tie it to it and then either use your mounting plate that you have to mount your 4-pole, or just take your dust cap and wrap it around your safety chain loop and let it hang that way. Went ahead and ran our black power wire up to the front of the vehicle. We made the connection to our box, black wire that comes out of your box, with a heat shrink butt connector. Ran it up and zip tied it right here. Came across and zip tied it to the top of the subframe. Now you can run it any which way you like, just be sure to avoid any hot or moving parts. But the way I did it, I came across on top of the subframe, and it actually came down right through there and zip tied it to that line. And then I just came along the side of the fuel tank and under this panel. Now this panel, you can remove 3 10mm nuts. That'll actually allow this panel to pull down. Makes it a little easier. And here you can see the wire. And then I brought it right up along our brake lines here. And up into the engine compartment. So here's our power wire from underneath the car up into the engine bay. To get this up easier, we actually used a pull wire. So we ran the wire, our pull wire, down through the engine bay and connected the end of our power wire to it with some electrical tape. That way we just pulled it up, and here we have the end of our wire now. So now we need to hook this to the battery. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually remove this ram air intake. That way we have a little more access. To do that, you simply just pull back. Lift up and pull up on these tabs, and it pops right up. And just set that off to the side. So we need to connect the black power wire to our fuse holder, which will then get a ring terminal on one end and connect to our positive battery terminal. Like so. Then what we'll actually do is cut a small opening in the ring terminal itself, because these factory battery terminals, the nut isn't intended to be removed completely, so it'll mess up the threads if we remove it all the way. So by doing this, we can actually just loosen the nut, slide this underneath, and then tighten it back down. Grab one of our supplied butt connectors. Now we can connect our main black power wire to our yellow fuse holder. Pop that in the butt connector and get it crimped down. With our power wire hooked up, go ahead and open up our fuse holder and put in our supplied fuse. Just for a little extra protection, I went ahead and wrapped up our connection here with some electrical tape and reinstall our air intake. And that simply just pushes back in to the air filter box. Now that we're done with everything underneath the car, we can go ahead and reinstall the panel that we took off earlier the same way that we removed it. All right, now we can reinstall our taillights. So we'll simply take our plug, push it into place. You'll hear it clip. And we can carefully realign the holes. And reinstall our 10mm nuts on the back side. All right, now with everything reinstalled, you can go ahead and test it to make sure everything works properly. So here we have it hooked up to a tester. Now I'll go ahead and turn on my left blinker, my right blinker, my brake lights, and my running lights. And that'll do it for our look at and installation of the Curt powered taillight converter with 4-pole flat trailer connector on our 2019 Kia Sorento.